And if we look at the life of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ through this lens, we can take numerous examples. And today we will take, inshallah, 4 short examples of the life of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. The first is him as a child, as a son. And this is one view which is often neglected. It's often passed over because, as I said, his father, ﷺ, the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ's father, had passed away before he was born. And so you're already starting off with 50% chance or 50% loss of a relationship with his parental unit. But his mother, Amina, she passed away when he was very young. When he was very young, at the age of 6. Now, between the ages of 0 and 6, you don't have very much memory, right? If I asked all of you, what's your fondest memory of your childhood between the ages of 0 and 6? You may not be able to even pinpoint one because that range is so small. And we have a narration of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ in Medina. I want you to think about this. In Medina. So this means he's in his mid-50s. This is almost 50 years later of the time that his mother passed away. And he goes, there's a town near Medina where his mother was buried because she died on a journey. And he goes with his companions and he sees the grave of his mother. And he begins to cry. He begins to cry because he misses his mother. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was the most human of humans. You know, he was the best of humanity, but he also had humanity. And so he began to cry, and his crying was so strong. His weeping was so emotional, was so longing to see his beloved mother, that the companions around him were so emotionally affected that they also began to cry. So yes, we don't have many examples of how he was as a child, what kind of khidmah, what kind of service he gave to his parents, but the least we can take is that as a child, he longed for his parents. He longed for his mother in this story specifically. And many of us as young people, and this is my advice to my peers, my young people, is that we grow up really wanting to move away from the nest, to get away from our parents because we see them as overbearing or too controlling or too strict or too conservative. But the reality is there will come a day where you will sit just like the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, and you will take part in this very sobering sunnah of the Prophet where you will shed tears because you miss your parents. You know, in economics, when something has a limited capacity or a resource, it's known as scarce. It's a scarcity. Our lives are limited. Our parents' lives are limited. And if we don't take advantage of serving and loving and appreciating our parents while they're here, while they're alive, and particularly if they're in your locality, then one day we will sit and we will ask ourselves why that regret will overcome us like a shower of rain.